Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now. I have been using Twitter for a long time, months after it really caught fire at South by Southwest. This was a few years ago. I looked into it, I'm like, well, this is interesting. I don't know really where it fits into whatever it is that I happen to be doing. It hadn't exploded yet, but certainly seemed interesting enough to try. And the conventions that we now use on Twitter weren't in place when it first started. When you wanted to reply to somebody, you couldn't do it in, an easy-to-follow manner. You still really can't. Twitter hasn't fixed the problem. Twitter is not for conversations. It really isn't. Hashtags came about thanks to Joe Factory is his online handle, but Chris Messina, who actually spoke at GnomeDex a few years ago, and did an amazing job. This is before he created the hashtag. That tweet, by the way, the first hashtag or suggested use of a hashtag is still on Twitter. I retweeted it the other day. It was kind of neat. There are many ways that you can use Twitter. It's not just for this. In my estimation, it can be used for a number of things and in a number of ways. That being said, we have outlined in our article on lockergnome.com the right way to use Twitter. And, if you are a subscriber to the Locker Gnome email newsletter, I'll promise you this. I'm going to send out a link in the next email, and you should have subscribed by now because we tease it just about every day in the Locker Gnome Daily Report, with a link to our PDF of 140 Twitter tips. I wrote it a couple years ago, and the TWIPs, I guess they are TWIPs, Twitter tips, are still relevant today, and it's an ebook that I've sold online. I still sell it, and you're free to tip me for it, but I'll put a link for that where anybody can download it in our next email newsletter on Locker Gnome. But there are some wrong ways, believe it or not, of using Twitter. We've outlined a few of them, but really explained how to use Twitter the right way. And everyone's got a different opinion on what Twitter is and the right way and the wrong way to use it. This is just our opinion, and based on experience. And I think, and this is detailed in the article too. It's detailed, concept in a greater depth than I could possibly get into in this video. But one of the things that is frustrating for me is when people don't use the retweet button properly. They've got the official retweet button, and when you use that, it makes life happier for everybody. Instead of retweeting and including the tweet so it looks like your tweet, that's annoying because it's difficult to follow in the thread who was the person who tweeted something. If you use the official retweet button or the feature in whatever your favorite Twitter app happens to be, it'll show up as that person's tweet in all your followers' timeline. I appreciate when anybody retweets something that Locker Gnome tweets. When I tweet something at Chris Perillo, if you retweet it, that lets me know that someone's listening, and then I get full credit for something, versus you just saying RT at so-and-so and possibly spelling my name wrong, and then getting cut off towards the end of that particular tweet because you really only have 140 characters. That is, to me, the biggest problem that I have with people who use Twitter. The second biggest problem that I have is when people use direct messaging as if it was email. Don't do that. It's not email, it's direct message. If you can't keep it to 140 characters or less, don't DM me, email me. Chris@Perillo.com. It's not a secret. It's really not that much more challenging to send me an email than it would be to send a direct message over 5 direct messages. So use DM for what DM is good for, short messages. Use email for something that might be a bit longer. Another thing that I would consider the wrong way of using Twitter, and yes, we realize the article is about how to use Twitter the right way, but knowing how to use it the right way, sometimes you have to know what's wrong. Sharing stuff that nobody really cares about. Honestly, I don't care where you checked in just now. I genuinely don't. Maybe you have a photo. I care about the photos that you might post. Those are kind of neat and interesting, the videos that you share, because there's something visual there. But let's say this is a tweet that I just don't care about. My finger is bleeding. Okay. I'm in the bathroom right now. This is really not relevant. I don't know how this is helping anybody by sharing that information. So in the way that I tend to share, I think, is this valuable to somebody? to anybody. And then I share it. And sometimes they're pithy quotes. Like I had one yesterday. This one got retweeted a lot. I said, I don't understand why Congress is allowed to go to recess. They haven't even finished math class yet. I was trying to be funny. Well, people thought it was funny, okay? I got retweeted. I even shared the same thing on Facebook, and people liked it and shared it with everybody else. Having fun. Twitter is a place for sharing your thoughts, but as I've said before, and I've been quoted on this, on Twitter, Twitter is a great place to tell the world what you're thinking about before you've had a chance to think about it. You can quote me on that as long as you include the @Chris Pirillo somewhere in there so that they know I'm the one who quoted it and you're quoting me rather than it coming from your mouth because I said it first. Just give credit where credit's due. So we've outlined more ways to use Twitter the right way. If you used Twitter a year ago, it's completely different today. If you don't think Twitter's for you, it may not just be for you. It may be for everybody else. Maybe people do want to follow you. Even if you don't think you have anything interesting to share, you might. I wouldn't suggest that telling people that you're in a certain place in your home is interesting, unless you're a celebrity, in which case if you're a celebrity, you can tweet anything, and it's interesting, apparently. Give me a break. And by the way, I'm not. Some people have called me an internet celebrity. What the hell does that mean? Until I have TMZ at my front door, I'm not even close. Until I show up in the pages of the National Enquirer, not even close, dude. So, what are you tweeting? What do you find most interesting about Twitter, if you find anything interesting on Twitter at all? And most importantly, what do you find least interesting? The least interesting things that you find on Twitter. Maybe you shouldn't be following the people you don't find interesting. There's a suggestion for you. More tips again in the article on lockergnome.com.